Hello, test the microphone.
Hello, welcome to Monday Morning Matters live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier. And now, meet your host, Niyi Dunmade.
Good morning, and good morning to all our viewers all around the world. I'm so happy to come your way. Happy new month to all our viewers all over the world. You know, if that's the way, I'm so delighted to hear people listening to our broadcast in some areas that are so strange, so rare. So we want to say happy new month to all our viewers. Thank you for hooking up with us. My name is Niyi Dunmade. I'm the certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting, okay? And I'm the CEO and the founder of Magnicraft Consulting. So I want to welcome every one of you to this live broadcast show of Morning Matters. In the month of March, we have 5 Mondays, and we're going to go deep into some good juice, good information that will help you as a church leader and your church as a whole. A big thank you to everyone who is sharing our content. In fact, I'm so delighted as I went live, I could see some few persons who have liked our posts and they are listening. And just give me a comment to your listening. Big thank you to you for commenting, for reacting, sharing, liking, and posting some of this broadcast content to your network. We do not take it lightly. We just want to make sure that we reach out to the world to make the world a better place. So in the month of March, we're going to be looking critically at what? The gospel-focused church. You know, sometimes we ministers, when we are preaching our messages, maybe on Sundays or in Bible studies, we usually want to do that with as if that is the height of what our congregation needs to know. If you are talking about faith, you speak faith as if you don't have faith, you will not enter into the heaven. Or if you are speaking on wisdom, you talk about wisdom as if without wisdom, you cannot even make it on the top chart as a Christian. But you see, one of the things I want to say is we need to be balanced, okay? For a child to grow, there is need for that child to take in balanced diet, okay? A little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrate, a little bit of fat and oil, a little bit of vitamins, a little bit of supplements, fiber, in good proportion, in balanced form. That's when that child, that person, that system, that organization, that church will be very, very healthy. All right. So, as a church consultant, we try to assess churches, okay, from the way the early church started. I'm going to go a bit on the definition of a church. Today is going to be just some of an introduction, and in the next 4 Mondays, we're going deeply into the gospel-focused church, the gospel-centered church, the gospel-driven church, the gospel-informed church. Okay, how can a church focus on the gospel? Now, this is the framework as a consultant we use in Acts chapter 2, verse 41 to 47. You could see that the early church went into prayer, ministry, evangelism, discipleship, fellowship, and worship. Now, the top side has to do with the organic side, the relationship side between God, between your neighbors and your community. And the downward side is more administrative or structure organizational, where you have the resources, onboarding, outreach, leaders, structure, and strategy. Now, we want to say that all these things must be balanced. All these things must be balanced. All these things must be balanced in our churches. I want to go straight down into definition of a church, because sometimes our pastors, we do church planting, we run churches, we lead churches, we manage churches, but we don't usually understand what church is, because you can plant a church right now and that church has metamorphosized or has migrated into something else. Okay, and for me, we need to know what the church is all about. What is the church? What is the church? Above Mafros, one consultant I respect so much in this industry, he gave a very concise and comprehensive definition of a church. He said a local church is an indispensable. We need to understand that we need that church. And I've been in a forum of pastors where they are arguing, should we go extreme for online church completely, or should we go on the extreme for in-person? To be candid, we need to just be ready for having an hybrid kind of church. Now, and I've said it on this platform, in those days we had a physical church trying to have an extension of an online church. But right now, we are going to twist it out and say we have an online church, but we have a physical presence. I think the way Amazon and all these online, they have warehouse at locations, but their major impact is on online. And if you want to have a deeper dimension of what Amazon can do, you have to get to their warehouse. So what is a local church? A local church is an indispensable gathering of professing believers in Christ, in Jesus Christ, who under leadership are organized. Now, all these 12 things I meant earlier, we're going to see how are they organized to pursue its mission through its functions. So those are church functions to accomplish its purpose. That was a fantastic definition. You see, many evangelical churches face problems of open door, very, very wide open door, but we need to understand that whatever we sow, if we do not nurture it very well, that thing can migrate to something else. That thing can migrate to something else that we did not even know that this thing can actually evolve into that organization. So for open door, then also there's a deficit in discipleship. There's a deficit in discipleship. A deficit in the discipleship. I mentioned about an open back door. Okay, people are coming into the church, and then we have people streaming out of the church. We also have disciple services. Now, the purpose of the church, the mission of the church, the message of the church does not change. If you like, preach prosperity, preach this, preach that, make your church so cerebral. The mission and the message, the purpose of the church has not changed. And that is, and you know, one thing I want to say is that the gospel is, we have in fact, if you open up the social media, the television, the internet, you see all kinds of bad news, you see all kinds of devastating information. And I was saying in one of the pastors' forum where our churches need to also chunk out more and more content so that we don't have bad content online. All right, more and more content every day. Don't say too much content is too much on the cyberspace, on the internet, because the truth about it, the reason why the internet is so bad in its state, because the other side of the world are also putting their own content on the internet. So we have an open back door in our churches. We have a discipleship deficit, which we have to go back to the purpose of the church, because the purpose of the church is to make disciples of all nations. No, we are not to make attendants. We are not to make converts. We are not to even build empires for ourselves, because the church you are pastoring or managing is not yours. We need to make sure that we are making disciples. Now, assimilating a guest is also different. That might be a beginning point of your discipleship plan, but let's see how the church can overcome the discipleship deficit with the gospel. Also, not reaching the unchurched at the same rate at which we think. Every church wants to feel that they are actually reaching the unreached. Every church will say they are friendly. Every church will say they are gospel focused. Everybody, you need to find metrics that can actually tell you that you are how well are you complying to be a gospel-focused church? How well are you complying to be a gospel-focused church? How well are you complying? Because the truth about it is that God will only assess the church based on the mandate he has given the church, not based on your ambition, not based on your preferences, not based on your likes and what you love to do, but based on the mandate that God has given the church. So they say that, you know, one of the things that our pastors like to do, they like to measure attendance, they like to measure decisions for Christ, they like to measure money, finance. But you see, the truth about it is that the gospel, the impact of the gospel the church is making, we need to create out the kind of metrics. I call it grace shift metrics, where you can know that you are actually complying to the mandate of making disciples. Okay. To cultivate also a spiritually healthy church. Thank you, Bishop. I can see you making a comment. Thank you for following, Bishop. Thank you. So to cultivate a spiritual healthy church, we need to shift our metrics from calculating money, men, and the building. Now, the corona has made us to see how worthless our buildings can. Because Strabasi, that staying in the camera has shown that we can have a greater effect than having people in our buildings. I did a survey based on the health framework. And in subsequent money, I'm going to talk more about the health framework. And I did a survey of 600 pastors and church leaders who are founders, general overseers, general superintendents of our churches. And you could see that in their assessment of the 12 things that I mentioned earlier, we could see that discipleship was the poorest. Evangelism was the poorest, followed by discipleship. Now, if the mandate of the church is to make disciples, then that means that this evangelism and discipleship should be the primary functions of the church. Discipleship and evangelism should be the major departments, major church functions of the church. Now, the questions I want to ask to just make sure that we are together in this broadcast: are people growing in their esteem for Jesus? Is there a dogged devotion to the Bible? I have a reading plan, a daily reading plan. I go through the Bible in a 1-month plan, in a 90 days plan. Our converts, our congregation, our church members, are they interested in the gospel? Are they interested in theology? Are they interested in sound doctrine? Are they devoted to the reading of the Bible and to the ultimate authority of Jesus Christ over the church? We need to be very, very careful so that we don't create Christians who are far away. Because when you get them far away, to get them back to the knowledge of the truth is going to take a lot of work. And perhaps most importantly, Is there evident love for God and for our neighbors in the congregation of the gospel? If you're going to hold it tight, you have to make sure that you have the love for God and the love for the community, love for the neighbor. Bible says the two greats, okay? Love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And then love your neighbor as yourself. We need to adhere to the gospel and make sure there's a church shift to metrics that will ensure that our church is complying to the mandate that God has given to us, and we are making impact in the community. Now, I want to shift a little bit into what I do as a church consultant. We help your church by diagnosing questions to see how well you are doing in these 12 areas. Okay, as a church consultant, I want to just appeal. Church leaders should not be doing SWOT analysis as if your church is like a business. Your church is not a business. You are not making profit. You are making souls. You are making converts. You are not making money, but you are making souls. Okay, you are reaping souls. And the truth about it is that we need to get a tool whereby we are transparent in measuring as a group, as an organization, the relative spiritual health of our churches. Okay, having a practical perspective, prescriptive plan, because the truth about it is that what we had in Act 2 was descriptive of what the early or what the church looks like, but now we need to be prescriptive. You have a prescriptive plan to implement some of these metrics so that the strategies that we have is actually making us go healthier. And my philosophy is that once a church is healthier, that church can do great things for God. You know, our God is so all-wise God. You know, some of us who are very, very matured, if you have an axe that is blunt, if the axe have an axe that is blunt and the axe is not sharpened, okay, and you are asked by someone to cut, to weed the grasses and cut the grasses, okay, because the axe or the cutlass is blunt, you're going to use more strength. That's what you can say. Because the axe is blunt, you're going to what? Use more strength. Now, God also wants to make sure that our churches are like sharp axe, because God will not use an axe that is blunt. God will not want to use a church that is not having its cutting edge so sharp. He wants to use a church that is very, 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 very healthy. And because when a church is healthy, then that church can actually be maximized in a way at which God can use the church. And I've actually gotten some good churches to consult in these few years that I have been consulting for churches. And to be candid, 99% of all these churches, their weak point is always in evangelism and discipleship. You see, the truth about it is that if you want to focus on one area of these 12 things I mentioned, it's just like saying that you want to live by only protein or you want to live by only carbohydrate. You need to find ways that all these things are active, they are intentional, they are balanced. And you know, the truth about it is that our body is having all kinds of systems. And what makes health is that all these systems are in alignment with the backbone of getting the church to be focused on the gospel. Because what am I saying is that the bad news is getting amplified, you know, because of the advent of the internet, the advent of social media. You can stay in your house and get all kinds of news from all over the world. And because of that ease at which information is disseminating, and not to even say bad news disseminate faster, okay, we need to also make sure that that is when the gospel is actually relevant in times like this. When things are getting darker and darker, that is when we need to get the light to come out to shine brighter and brighter. So let's help you to diagnose your church. Let's help you to know your weak point, because the truth about it is that if you do not deal with the weak point, that weak point can pull you down. Let's help you to see how is your church actually complying. You know, no matter how you want to preach a sermon on Sunday, make sure that the gospel is actually in the heart of that sermon, so that when you make altar call, I'm talking about the gospel content is actually infused in the sermons you preach regularly on, even if it's a Bible study. You don't know who might show up in church that might actually need the gospel. And the truth about it is that the gospel has the power to transform a soul. The gospel has the power to make sure that things are actually moved from one area to another. All right. So we need to wrap it up here in a brief, and so please, let's come to your church to help you diagnose your church and see how we can help you improve your health, improve your church health, improve your structure, your organization, the organism side of your church, and that will help us to ensure that we have more churches. My desire is, I don't want, because of the pandemic, churches are folding up or churches are dying. Churches too already die, but reach out to us. We are at the back end of all our social media handles. Please feel free to share this content to a pastor. This is just like an introductory of the Gospel Focused Church. Next Monday, we're going to talk about some of those things that actually you can use to refocus your church to the gospel. Okay, that is God. When God instituted the church, with some of these church functions, He also instituted the church with some of these, with the gospel. Okay, there's a gospel. What is the content? How many of a congregation are actually versatile with the gospel? How many disciples do you have that can actually reach out with the gospel without adulteration? So let's see how we have more and more of our churches championing the messages to what the gospel content are. Thank you for letting me come into your space this morning. Please like our post, subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube channel, I have quite a lot of content. Subscribe please to our YouTube channel, hit that bell so that when you have another video like this, you can be notified of the contents. And then please, if you do not see any content of help to you, I'm someone that is so generous. Reach out to me. I need this, I need that, and then I will surely get it to you. I have quite a lot of body of people behind me that we can always work together. The Society of Church Consulting is there, and some other people that I know so well, that we can get some of these resources across to you, so that you can actually. I'm so impressed at few churches who have, despite the pandemic, they were able to grow more than their pre-COVID attendance. Okay, they were able to make some greater impact with palliatives. We will break some impact with, have some more. There's a church that the convert they had last year was more than the 2019. So let's don't look at the pandemic as a setback. Let's look at the pandemic as an opportunity to carry the gospel to the nations of the world, to carry the gospel to our community, to carry the gospel to the nook and cranny of the world. Now, the truth about it is that the reason why the end has not come is that the gospel has not been preached to all the nook and crannies of the world. So reach out to my social media. There are quite a lot of content that I've done, and that will help you to glean from my wisdom in all these broadcasts. Thank you for all those who are standing by. I want to wrap it up here. We'd like to make it within 30 minutes. Thank you for all the ones that are staying with us. God bless you. I want to sign up now and attend to any questions you have. You have any questions, please feel free to reach out with us with any questions. Any template that you need, reach out to us so that we can be able to get those templates for you to manage and lead your church well. God bless you. Till I see you next week, Monday. Have a nice weekend, and bye-bye.